let's talk to Alex. Alex is calling in from Colorado, and they want to talk about their reasons for being an atheist.
Okay.
Hi, Alex.
Yes, hello. Hi.
Hi.
I've been interested in calling in for a while now. I am an atheist, and I have reasons that I never hear expressed ever. So that's what I'm calling in about. First of all, to give some, bear with me, background, I was raised an atheist. My parents both gave up on religion long before I ever came along. So there's that. So I didn't have anything I ever had to escape. So it's been a bit different for me. Because of that, I see a lot of other atheists. I'm in a lot of atheist communities, and I see that a lot of other atheists have sort of anger that I don't have, and feel that they've been lied to, and I never was. So I don't feel that. So I think I'm more accepting, than other people are, and I'm like, yeah, you do you. It's great. Go ahead. I'm fine with that as long as you don't use it to hurt other people. But, I've also tried to think a lot about religion and how it works and all of that, and why so many people believe something that seems so absurd to me. And, not even getting to the Bible part. I mean, the Bible is like, on the seventh day, God invented the printing press. That's not even relevant to me, the Bible. It's absurd to think that that's real. But then I go, this is why I very firm in my atheism. And bear with me. First of all, when I think about just the universe and the potential for multi-universes and the stars and the planets, and the idea that there are not millions of civilizations out there, seems preposterous. And those life forms could take they could be many different ways. They could take many different dimensions. There could be life forms that are like Borg, many different singular entities that have one mind, and there could be energies and beings that are only energy that, there are, and then there are so many things that we can't even possibly comprehend as human beings life forms that could be taken out there. And then I think of Earth, and I think of things like trees, where a tree, if it grows on the side of a mountain, it knows to grow up to the sun, and it twists and turns. It doesn't just grow straight out where it will fall over. It twists and turns and goes up. So, why is that not a superior life form? Because it doesn't get it wrong. What I think about is us human beings and how we get it wrong, and how we have emotions, and we have feelings, and we have logic, and we have all of these things that act in contradiction to each other. And we're animals. We have to eat, and we have to defecate, and we have to do all of these things. So the idea that there is a supreme being that is a spirit, but is like an animal, that has all of these flaws and faults of, fallible logic and emotions that mess with the logic, and wrath and ego and all of this, when there are so many potential life forms out there and all of this, it's beyond absurd to me. It's ridiculous. I have no reason to think, I don't know what there is that animates everybody, but I know that is the last thing that I would ever think that it was. So that's basically what I never hear.
I was just going to say, I totally hear where you're coming from. And I think that in maybe different ways, this is a sentiment that is expressed quite often. Talking about a very, very flawed design. Yeah. If we're talking about the design argument, or, there are so many flaws in even just the human body, but we see all the other things out there. It's a kind of you see a lot of more apologetics for explaining away this one. So why is everything so messed up? Why is there so many flaws in our design? For those just listening, I have air quotes. You see a lot of apologetics trying to explain away these things. So we have the whole reason why there's the explanation of the fall or sin in the world. And these are all to explain why God horrendously screwed up so bad on the way that the world is, because there are so many problems. There's the problem of evil. Why do people treat each other so poorly?
There is so much further, that there are things that we can't comprehend that could exist intelligences beyond our comprehension could exist. I don't know the answers because I'm a human being and I'm limited by my mind and by, this animal. But I mean, even we are so primitive. We're so in our infancy, even of just human development. The idea that this wrathful animal that isn't an animal but is spirit, but it has every flaw and that couldn't possibly have created any of the other life forms that obviously are out there. It's just insane to me.
Yeah, and sorry, Stacey, I keep jumping here.
Oh no, it's fine.
Got quite a just quite choppy the audio, but we'll do our best here. I was going to say that you are right about one thing, that there are, if we're talking about, the Abrahamic God as proposed in the Bible. So if you take the Old Testament or the Tanakh into account, there are a lot of places where God is described as being just like us, but different, but bigger, but out there somewhere. So that doesn't make sense to me. I mean, God is described as having body parts, as having, and I mean, when you look into the scholarly work on it, it wasn't meant as like a metaphor necessarily. Like they actually believed that God had these qualities that were the same as us animals, and so that part is really weird. When you're talking about we are these fallible like animals, and we have all these flaws of that impede our way of having perfect reason. One of the labels that I have heard that kind of goes down that path is the label of Atheist, and it's where like any kind of proposition of God that could be even maybe even possible doesn't even make sense to me. Like it doesn't even make sense. And why would they communicate through the way that they do, the senses? Like we've been giving all these senses in our body to move throughout the world, but God doesn't use any of them. We have to know in some other way. And like there's just so many things that are just illogical kind of on when you start going down that line. I do think that this question is brought up, but maybe just not in the same kind of exact phrasing, because I like the way you're phrasing it. It makes perfect sense, like of why you don't believe when you put it like that.
I don't understand. Like, I don't know why I would believe. And yes, I have to say that I've met lots of atheists through atheist groups who are, I get it. I get that they're bitter. I completely get that. I don't have the bitterness because I didn't have to escape. So I don't have that. I'm fine.
I think
need, and God to not be monsters, then have at it. I'm fine with that. I don't mind.
I do think there is a big difference between people who grew up in these high control groups and people who were always non-believers of some sort. So I think maybe I personally, a word I would use is they have experienced trauma, because I mean, calling someone bitter can have the potential to be hurtful. And I do definitely see the difference in that. And I think that we all come to these places from different perspectives. And there is a lot of that camaraderie, especially when people have had trauma. I've talked about this in the past, that when I came out of religion, I had trauma and I had to work through some of that. And I had a bit of this assumption that everybody who was religious at one point had been traumatized. And it actually took me some, deconstructing to get through that and realize that, not everybody has been harmed by a religion. A lot of people have, but we can all kind of agree to, be in this place together and not judge other people's experiences with it, if you will. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. And for somebody who wasn't raised in that and didn't have that experience, it could come off as extremely like, why are you so upset? Because like, if you haven't been through it, you haven't been through it. Right.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I get that. In fact, like my husband, his family, he has lots of religions. His cousin is extraordinarily religious. I mean, extraordinarily religious. She went to school for it. She homeschools her kids. She's extraordinarily religious. I don't know how else to put it. And I like her most out of everybody in his family. I like her most. I haven't told her I'm an atheist, but I don't want to hurt her feelings. I
understand.
religious people that I know that is like, let's go help the poor and let's go, the answer to abortion is reduce the need and, all of these things, even though there's all this other stuff, like she's trying to tell her kids that Disney is evil right now and all of that. I don't disrespect people that are religious, and I don't mean to call them bitter in a negative way. They tell me they're bitter. I mean, that's what I get, is they tell me, like, how angry they're mad.
The religious people are bitter? Is that what you're saying? The people who are still religious are bitter?
No, I'm saying that atheists that I meet are bitter.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah.
Well, I think that's if people want to use that to describe their experience, I think that's totally valid. I have called myself bitter at times, and I think that there is a lot to be bitter about.
I still get mad.
Go ahead, Stacey.
No, I was going to say, I still get mad, but I feel more indignant about just, what did I, what did I miss out on as far as like education and not like learning about, and also just what did I deprive myself of, thinking that I was sinning in every way possible, and I was constantly in a state of guilt. So I don't think we're bitter. We're just, once you're out and you realize all the things that you had so much pressure put on yourself, and you were the one basically putting that pressure on you, or having people in authority putting that pressure on you based on a Bible that's not even true. That's where the anger comes from. So that's just my experience. I still just sometimes I'm like, oh my God, it just pisses me off that my whole life was spent under this authoritative system and how awful I felt in it. So, I mean, I'm happy now, but you still have moments of just, it's like grief. Same thing, I think. It's just moments of grief. So
get mad at me for expressing the sentiment that I don't want to hurt other people by, like, I don't have any need to convert people away from what makes them feel good. I don't want to be responsible for that. I don't want to hurt them like that. If it makes them act good, then let them have at it. And I've had atheists get mad at me, and I'm like, yes, I know that religion has caused a tremendous amount of harm in the world and still continues to do that. But turning this one person away from what gives them comfort is not going to change that.
Yeah, and I do understand that part. And when it comes to my day-to-day life, I don't go around trying to deconvert every religious person in my life. It's not, first of all, the thing that I prioritize when I'm talking to a family member, I typically am going to prioritize the relationship over, these conversations. And but on a bigger scale, I do still think that it's important for us to be involved in activism to kind of help these, like, many people on a bigger scale. First of all, it's easier talking to somebody who you're not related to, because I mean, these things do have a big effect in the world. We see it happening, and I won't even go into it because everybody knows what I'm talking about already, in politics in particular. Right. So I still think it is an important thing to talk to people about. Like I mentioned earlier, like, these things we believe in, they have a big impact on the world. That doesn't mean you have to fight with every single person that that has a belief that you think that they don't hold for good reasons. Right. I will always say, and I'm speaking from experience here too, is that you need to prioritize your relationships with your family or your friends. And you can definitely draw boundaries there and say, I'm not going to talk about this. Or if you're going to talk like that because of your beliefs, then I can't, there's boundaries and all of that. But I mean, there's just different times of it where it's appropriate and not appropriate. And I think that's fine too. I'm not going to say that's a black and white thing where we have to constantly be fighting with people and be tearing down religion in every way possible. But I mean, there's definitely a time and a place for it. So
I would love, though, to explain one last thing about how I grew up being not religious.
Sure. If you can quickly, Alex, just because we do have a couple more calls on the line and our audio is really choppy right now with you. So go ahead. Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. I always had lots of Jewish friends growing up, but not Christian friends. And I have to say, I was afraid of Christians when I was growing up, literally afraid of them. The reason I was afraid of them is that I knew they churched on Sunday and that some holy guy told them whatever, and I wouldn't know on Monday if what they were told was you should stab everybody wearing red with a newly sharpened pencil, like right in the eye. Like that's how I felt. Like I felt like these were people that needed to be told, and I'm talking about when I was a child. I felt like these were people that needed to be told what was right and what was wrong. So I was literally afraid of them.
Yeah, that's interesting.
That's interesting. Yeah.
I don't think that I was literally concerned that they would hurt me because I didn't know what they were told on Sunday.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I sometimes feel the same way right now. It depends on the week. Yeah. Well, okay. Alex, thank you so much for calling in. And I mean, hope to talk to you again soon. And I think I have heard that reason, and I think you have good reasons to not believe. So we'll talk to you again.
Great.
We'll talk to you again soon. Bye.